Active license, a current license issued by the department to a broker or salesperson that states the name of the broker that employs the broker or salesperson and the location at which the salesperson or broker is employed. If referring to an employing broker, it means a currently licensed employing broker with a currently licensed designated broker of record. A DQ, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. ADWR, the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Closing, the final step of a real estate transaction, such as when the consideration is paid, all documents relating to the transaction are executed and recorded, or the deed is delivered or placed in escrow. Commissioner, appointed by the governor with the consent of the state senate. The commissioner is responsible for the Department of Real Estate overall. Credit hour, 50 minutes of instruction. Course, a class, seminar, or presentation. Commissioner's final order, a disciplinary action taken as the result of and at the conclusion of an administrative hearing. A commissioner's final order may be appealed to the Superior Court of Arizona within 30 days of issuance. DBA, doing business as is a name other than a person's legal name, authorized by the department for a licensee's use in conducting business. Distance learning course, a course of instruction outside a traditional classroom situation consisting of computer-based, interactive instructional material requiring completion of the credit hours specified. A course that requires a student to read the text, listen to audio tapes, or view video material without student participation, feedback, and remedial instruction is not a distance learning course. Enforcement and Compliance Division, the division of the Department of Real Estate that is responsible for the enforcement of statutes and rules affecting the regulation of the real estate profession in Arizona. Immediate family, persons related to an individual by blood, marriage, or adoption, including spouse, siblings, parents, grandparents, children, and grandchildren. Individual means a natural person. Material change, any significant change in the size or character of the development plan, or interest being offered, or a change that has a significant effect on the rights, duties, or obligations of the developer or purchaser, or use and enjoyment of the property by the purchaser. Non-resident license, a license authorized under the provisions of 32-2122A, issued to a person who has been domiciled in this state for less than 1 year and who does not meet any of the following: has an Arizona driver's license, has an Arizona motor vehicle registration, has been employed in Arizona, has an Arizona voter registration, has transferred banking services to Arizona, has changed a permanent address on all pertinent records, is a domestic corporation or limited liability company, has filed an Arizona income tax return with the Department of Revenue during the previous or current tax year, has received benefits from any Arizona Public Service Department or agency, such as welfare, food stamps, unemployment benefits, or workers' compensation. Property interest, a person's ownership or control of a lot, parcel, unit, share, use in a development, including any right in a subdivided or unsubdivided land, a cemetery plot, a condominium, a timeshare interval, a membership camping contract, or a stock cooperative. Directory and summary of Arizona real estate rules, Title 4, Chapter 28. Real Estate Department, Article 1, General Provisions, contains definitions, sets fees, and describes computation of filing deadlines, time frames, and procedures for processing license applications. Article 3, Licensure describes requirements and procedures for applying for licensure as a salesperson or broker, changes to name, address, license status, the employer, license renewal and reinstatement, and documentation in instances of the unlicensed activity. Article 4, Education provides guidelines and requirements for pre-license and continuing education instruction, including course content, administration of the state license examination, and approval of schools, courses, and instructors, and for certification as a business brokerage specialist. Article 5. Advertising provisions. Describes permitted, restricted, or prohibited activities pertaining to advertising and promotional activities by salespersons, brokers, and developers. Article 7. Compensation. Disclosure requirement concerning compensation a broker may receive. Article 8. Documents describes requirements for providing copies of documents and when certain contract disclosures and notices are required to be made. Article 11. Professional conduct. Identifies specific conduct that is required or prohibited to guide salespersons and brokers in their dealings with clients and customers, and brokers' responsibilities to exercise supervision over licensed and unlicensed employees. Article 12. Developments Part A. Application for public report procedures to follow and information required to apply for a subdivision public report to sell unsubdivided land or exemption or to operate a cemetery. Part B. General information. Permitted use of an expedited process, conditional sales and subsequent owner exemptions, changes to a development or cemetery, or the owner or operator of a development or cemetery that requires amendment of the license, certification of a development for filing with HUD, options and blanket encumbrances, partial releases, restrictions on developers' handling of earnest monies, and record keeping. Article 13. Administrative procedures describes service on the department and licensees, investigative information, response to charges, procedures for an attorney to appear for a respondent licensee, describes for consolidation of similar matters and rehearing requests, procedures, and rulings.